Before we get to the movie, do you have a best experience that you've ever had in a movie theater?
My daughter got her name from me seeing Casablanca.
Sure.
My daughter Ilsa.
And your son?
And my son Laszlo. But Ilsa's the oldest, and with about 2 weeks to go, we did not have a girl's name. And the Music Box Theater in Chicago, where I was living at the time, a gorgeous old revival house, was showing Casablanca.
Sure.
My wife at the time and I went to see it, and oh, hey, Ilsa's a nice name.
Decided not to name her Ugarte?
Not Ugarte or Sam.
Or Fat Man. That would not be wouldn't be a flattering girl's name.
Or Louis. I was forbidden from naming a child Louis, with the last name Reed.
You would curse them to a life of aloof coolness.
And heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 1930s, Doug, mainly because of the ubiquity of radio and pulp magazines, gave rise to a certain type of uniquely American hero. I'm not just talking about Superman and Batman, superheroes like that. I'm talking about other guys like The Shadow, The Phantom, The Green Hornet, Dick Tracy, The Lone Ranger, Flash Gordon, and a certain muscle-bound He-Man type that's not quite as remembered as those other ones. I'm talking about the man of bronze himself, Doc Savage.
Doc Savage! Cool.
Released in 1975, Doc Savage...
Savage.
Master of Cabbage. Released in 1975, Doc Savage stars Ron Ely, Paul Wexler, and Pamela Hensley. It was directed by Michael Anderson, who had previously directed the 1956 Best Picture winner Around the World in 80 Days. And the following year would go on to direct Logan's Run, which we watched on this show. And I've got the comic book to prove it right there. Doc Savage was produced by sci-fi pioneer George Pal, who by 1971 had secured the film and television rights to 181 Doc Savage novels from the estate of its creator, Lester Dent.
Wow.
The reviews of Doc Savage were pretty much all negative. Even prior to its release, a film buyer called it unsellable, horrible, just terrible. Ron Ely is in it, and he doesn't even take off his clothes. Ron Ely was famous for playing Tarzan at the time.
Okay.
Negative reviews were the least of its worries, however, as it was released in June of 1975 and promptly capsized in the wake of a little shark movie called Jaws.
Da-dum. Da-dum.
That's the one. The 1930s were also a time when telecommunications technology was advancing, but it was still pretty primitive. In fact, I bet old Doc Savage found himself using a telegraph now and then, and if he did, you can bet your bottom dollar he had one of these.
Form suggested for telegraph messages.
It's an old-timey booklet of
phrases
that you can use to commemorate people's special events through the telegraph line.
In case I don't know what to say for someone's wedding, congratulations and best wishes on your future happiness.
Oh, God, I feel so good.
I know.
Let's see what else we got here. We got birthday messages. Do you have a birthday recently?
I had one just this past year.
You did? Okay. Oh. It actually says this. Best wishes for your birthday. May you live long and prosper.
Get out.
Says it right there.
Oh, Gene Roddenberry, you telegraph thief.
So have you seen this film before, Doug?
I have never heard of this film or of this character.
He is pretty obscure.
His body, a physical phenomenon. His mind, a mental marvel. His name, enough to strike terror into the hearts of the most hardened criminals.
And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight on the old leather couch as we take a trip back to the past and revel in the memory of a great man named Doc Savage. 1936.
In the Arctic Circle.
A man on a snowmobile approaches a strange structure. Why, that's not just any man.
This is Doc Savage, the man of bronze.
A man of third place. International genius, adventurer, and righter of wrongs.
Have no fear, the man of bronze is here.
That's his fortress of solitude. He goes there to study and invent things and just be pretty much the smartest and coolest guy on Earth. Doc Savage has lost his keys to the Fortress of Solitude once again. No matter how smart and cool you are, sometimes you gotta have a team to support you, and Doc has the Fabulous Five. First of all, there's Monk. He's a chemist
who has a pet pig.
Johnny is an archaeologist.
Famed for deciphering the hieroglyphics of the Totemic Stone,
And persistent virgin.
Remy, globe-hopping engineer.
And then we have the electronics expert, Long Tom, who will someday go on to be the principal at a high school with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells for Saturday detention.
And then there's Doc's lawyer, Ham. His name is Ham. Why isn't the guy who carries the... Why isn't his name Ham? The guy who carries the pig. They could name him... Never mind.
Joe Lewis and Max Schmeling. Now that was about...
About what?
Doc Savage comes back to New York, where all his guys are hanging out in his fabulous penthouse apartment.
What he doesn't know is that there's a guy who's climbing up the side of the building.
With a big green snake on his chest.
He's going to assassinate that lamp! The team has bad news for Doc.
It's in regard to your father. He passed away down in South America.
Doc has received a mysterious package from South America.
I locked it in your safe.
Jinkies!
Ooh.
Registering heat from a gun barrel.
I couldn't do this if I wasn't in an eagle's head.
Get over there as fast as you can.
Those mysterious and interesting papers will just have to wait.
It's hard to get an apartment with those eagle head protrusions.
They're not affordable anymore. Regular people can't have eagle head apartments.
There's an exciting chase.
Hey, wait a minute, fellas!
I got a question for Long Tom. Does Barry Manilow know that he raids his wardrobe? Oh, just catch him. Say, who do you work for? He bites on the cyanide thing, and we know where this is going. And the assassin jumps off to his own death. That man killed himself rather than be in this movie for 1 second longer.
Jumped on the advice of his agent.
Now, I'll be super amalgamated.
I'll be super amalgamated. I'm going to have to use that one in conversation. Doc and company return to his apartment to find his safe is on fire.
What was in the envelope his father sent? We may never know.
My father did not die of a tropical disease. He was murdered.
Oh, I've just been amalgamated. Doc needs to go down to South America, to Hidalgo, and look into what went on. And the rest of the team comes with him. Their plane takes off.
But wait, coming up on their 6. Das ist der Red Baron!
Get out of here, fucker! It's the name of the plane, Doug. It's the name of the plane.
I know.
The plane is riddled with bullets, and it explodes.
Killing everyone inside. Or does it?
That plane was just a decoy to throw the bad guys off of their scent. Who are the bad guys? Who knows?
Actually, that robot airplane was only made of fabric and plywood.
Howard Hughes made it for me. Now, Doc and his boys can safely fly down to South America. But before they do that, Doc must recite the code. So first it's this.
Let us strive every moment of our lives to make ourselves better and better to the best of our ability.
It's this.
Let us be considerate of our country.
Oh, and we can't forget this part.
Let us do right to all.
That's the code. Remember it, live by it. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, Captain Seas is on his yacht. He's talking to that pilot who shot down Doc's plane.
I tell you, he's dead, and his gang are dead.
Are you sure they're dead? Are you sure? Are you sure?
May they rest in pieces.
I started out in a sideshow.
I was the geek. I bit the heads off of chickens.
Got into the swing of things.
I was a real drunk.
And then they laugh. Oh, the laughter.
Down in Hidalgo,
his father has been gifted some land by a tribe.
Mr. President.
May I approach the bench? They're trying to find this deed.
May we then see the deed?
Of course.
May we then do the deed. But that deed is nowhere to be found.
There's another guy down there, Senior Goro, who's got some busy eyebrows. This actor's doing way too much with his eyes.
It was 1975. There was a lot of cocaine going around at the time.
May I respectfully request an autopsy be performed upon my father?
Of course.
May I disrespectfully request it? Autopsy, bitch. But this guy, Senior Goro, he's in cahoots with Captain C's.
Doc Savage and his men are alive.
He likes to sleep in a big crib, like a baby.
Will you listen to me?
My diety needs to be changed. Captain C's wants Doc out of the way. Doesn't like him. The captain gets so mad at that pilot that night, in the pilot's bedchamber, glowing green snakes appear. They fly through the air. They bite with vicious fangs. There's no escape, because they're not snakes. They're green. Oh man, where's Ricky Tikki Tavi when you need him?
I had this acid trip once in college. It didn't end well.
The pilot is dead.
Now,
The next day, the coroner shows up, Senor Morales. We know this guy.
Oh yeah.
The hills have eyes and top hats. He did an autopsy on his father.
A residue of some foreign substance was detected, and I must confess, I have not been able to identify it.
I also must confess that my head is shaped like a football. I'll put my hat back on so you don't have to look at it anymore.
That way the maids in the kitchen window will stop screaming. Doc Savage is in his hotel room. All of a sudden,
those green, glowing snakes come after him. He tries a variety of things to get rid of them, and eventually he just blows them out of the window with a fan. If I generate enough white noise, the snakes will go to sleep. That's what happens with me at night. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best.
Doc, is everything all right?
Do you need the help of a small pig? Somebody doesn't want him to know the truth about what happened in Hidalgo.
the next day,
two beautiful ladies show up. Our boss, Captain C's,
asked us to personally invite all of you to dinner on his yacht.
and Doc accepts.
He knows it's a trap. They come on board, they meet Captain C's.
Oh, these guys are his backup singers. Doc Savage in the Four Seasons.
Dinner is served.
Do you recognize her?
No.
She was the secretary in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. They have a nice dinner.
I'm glad you enjoyed your dinner, because it was your last.
There's a kerfuffle.
Punching and running around. The bullets don't affect him. Could be because he's made of bronze. Could be because he's got a bulletproof vest on. It's the second. Doc jumps overboard and they all get away. Doc goes to the deeds office and he meets Mona Flores.
Mona.
And she tells him all about this far-off land called Quetzalmal.
And it's beyond the edge of the world.
The heart of the mystery is in Quetzalmal. And I know someone who can take you there. He lives in my village. And you know what? I want to come along too. Me, Mona Flores, because I need some adventure in my life. Let's go! They're camping. There's a snake.
Jumping jelly beans. That snake is
a genuine rubber snake. Doc manages to drain the venom out of it. This'll come in handy later. They get to Mona's village. They talk to the elder of the village and he says, yes, I can lead you to Quetzalmal. And later, Mona confesses to Doc,
I love you.
Mona. I can never have a girlfriend because my work is so dangerous. So dry your eyes, sweetie. You ain't gonna get none of this.
Doc Savage.
Not average. The journey to Quetzalmal is long. It traverses many terrains and many weather systems.
Wait, how many climates have we gone through here?
But eventually they get there. And as they look at the village, they see that it's full of these pools of molten gold.
Those are Captain C's men storing gold in that hut.
Suddenly, everybody's captured. Senor Goro is there.
This is the law here, Harvard man.
The law of slappies. Captain C's orders them killed by the Green Death. That's those little snakes. That's called the Green Death. Their hands are all tied up. They're put in a cave.
Rungabunga!
Did he just say unga bunga? Did he actually?
Yes,
he said unga bunga.
Unga bunga.
Okay. Luckily, Monk, whose name should be Ham.
You still in my pocket? Well, get out and do that trick I taught you.
Bites off all their ropes. That trick I taught you, eating something. But it's too late because the Green Death is coming.
If only we had an electric fan and some curtains.
These snakes come in, they start biting people's faces. They're poisoned. But Doc shows up just in the nick of time. And do you remember that snake venom that he got earlier? He's synthesized it into an anti-venom. He gives it to all his boys, and everybody's safe.
In the meantime, we've got one last boss battle.
They engage in an epic, multi-discipline battle of hand-to-hand combat. The Hertz Donut.
Next up will be fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs! Doc wins.
The henchmen decide we're just going to grab the gold and go. And that doesn't sit well with Senor Goro.
But that destabilizes the jungle floor.
The pool of gold starts erupting.
Goro is covered in molten gold and turned into a statue. Doc Savage, you have saved us. All the gold is yours. What about Captain C's? Well, it turns out that Doc has a rehabilitation facility for criminals where they go into the brain and they just kind of get rid of all the bad parts of the brain. You know what this procedure is. You've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's now a model citizen. He's playing a concertina in the Salvation Army band. Everything is great.
Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, no, my hip. Doc returns to New York. He's got a proto-answering machine.
I wish answering machines still worked like this. Super cool. Might be my favorite part of the movie.
Hey, Doc, listen. This is an emergency.
There's trouble brewing.
You're the only one who...
Another adventure already.
Have no fear, the man of bronze is here. Doc Savage, Doc Savage.
Well, it's a good thing there's going to be a movie after this movie. Wait a minute. No, that doesn't actually happen. No, for us, there is only one Doc Savage.
Man of Bronze.
Doc Savage. I didn't hate this movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
But I like the sense of adventure. I got the same sense of adventure. Do you remember the Brady Bunch episode where they get lost in the cave?
Yes.
I got the same feeling from this that I got from that.
Yeah.
Adventure light.
They're all going to make it out alive. It's entirely predictable.
The real failure of this movie is writing. Because I think there was supposed to be a lot of humor that just fell flat like a lead pancake.
The rivalry between the lawyer and the chemist
didn't mean anything.
Never.
If they were going to do humor, they needed to commit to it more. The fight between the two guys at the end, where they have the captions, that was really fun.
Yeah.
The movie needed that sense of humor, and it needed more of that.
Yeah, things like Senor Goro sleeping in a giant crib.
It was funny visually, but it was kind of apropos of nothing.
Yeah. You're right, the tone of the movie is all over the place.
The tone is all over the place. I got a big problem with the Fabulous Five, because first of all, the hero has a support team. They have to be interesting. You have to give them personalities. And if they have a specialty, they have to do that specialty in the movie to justify why they're there in the first place. The guy with the pig is a chemist. Doc does his own chemist. He makes the antidote on his own.
Himself.
He doesn't farm it out to his teammate. Rennie does nothing at all throughout the whole movie. He may as well not even be there. It should be the Fabulous Four. Now, Ron Eli in the lead, he's actually not bad. He's got the charisma to carry that role.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the sense of humor, and he also doesn't have any humor to work with.
He wasn't given anything in the script. The very first time we see him, he gets that little animated twinkle in his eye, which kind of sets you up for...
This is going to be a funny, campy movie.
Sort of a cartoonish... Yeah.
But it doesn't put both feet in that.
No.
Lot of Sousa music.
So much Sousa
It got tedious after a while.
Yeah.
I got why they did it. It seemed inevitably like a lazy choice. We're not going to come up with the Indiana Jones theme for Doc Savage.
We'd have to hire John Williams for that.
We're going to go to the public domain library and see what free stuff we can get. Captain C's was not a bad villain. He wasn't a great villain, but and his first name should have been Severin. Severin C's.
Severin C's. He had a fabulous voice.
He had a really great voice.
Very deep voice.
Yeah.
Mona was sort of a strange love interest. I met you 10 minutes ago and I love you.
She could have been Marion to Doc's Indy. Oh, I can do this thing that no one else can do. I know this secret about this land because these are my people. But there's none of that.
A lot of wasted opportunities, and yet it was still fun.
30% of a good movie.
I probably would have loved this when I was 10.
Yeah, if you saw this on a Saturday afternoon, you'd be like, that's my new favorite movie.
Yeah.
Right there, with the glowing snakes. Doc Savage has returned to his Fortress of Solitude, but we're not ready to leave ours yet. No, because it's time for Seen It.
Seen It.
Chandler Rabbitin. The Pale Blue Eye was a really good historical mystery movie. Seen It.
Seen It.
I was really taken in by the time period and the performances and the period details. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I thought the story was a bit hard to follow, mainly because there's so many characters and they're all just constantly saying each other's names. And so someone would talk about Blythington or whatever, and I'd be like, I don't know who that is.
And they're West Point cadets, so like, oh, it's the one in the uniform.
Yeah, right.
As it started sort of dancing into the supernatural, I was rolling my eyes a bit because I'm like, oh, I was grounded in this West Point very real reality. The movie dances right on the edge of, is this just psychosis on behalf of our characters? Is there a genuine supernatural thing going on? Yeah. And I thought it did a really nice job of kind of dancing on that edge.
And also, I know that it was an important plot contrivance to have Poe have the romance with the young lady because we need to get him into that barn. Mm-hmm. But it was all very dull. Like, that romance was just nothing.
Sean Henry writes in, Blue Hawaii, 1961, one of 2 Elvis movies I've now seen in my life. One good song, Floyd the Barber, Angela Lansbury's irritating audition for both Streetcar Named Desire and The Glass Menagerie, an Asiatic servant named Ping Pong, plenty of moments where I could walk away to fetch something from the other room, return, and feel no particular loss. Blue Hawaii.
Seen it.
Seen it.
Sean has made some very astute observations. I'm not sure I've ever seen a movie, Elvis or otherwise, that has started off on such a bad foot.
Yeah.
I understand that, what is his name? Chad Gates.
Okay.
Chad Gates is a young man who, despite the fact that he's just done a stretch in the Army, he needs to find his place in the world and he needs to grow up. He's searching for maturity. He's searching for a purpose. But he is such a goddamn jerk at the beginning of that movie. He comes off as such a selfish and even cruel person.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like 20 minutes in, it's as if the entire creative team of the movie said, wait, we have to completely change Chad's personality.
Oh,
because no one likes
he's our
him.
hero.
Yeah, exactly. And so then he becomes a lovable, aw shucks Elvis.
Yeah. That movie made a boatload of money. That soundtrack might have been Elvis's best-selling album ever. The Colonel was like, oh, okay, we
do 2 of these a year and we'll make all kinds of money.
Ka-ching, ka-ching. Yeah. You know, Elvis had aspirations to be a serious actor. Had Blue Hawaii not been such a success, we might have had a very different Elvis film career.
Another Furlong writes The Killers, 1946. Seen it.
Seen it.
I have also seen the 1964 version of The Killers because I have this box set by the Criterion Collection. So we're going to talk about both movies.
Okay.
The Killers 1946 is based on the Ernest Hemingway short story of the same name. Mm-hmm. Only the first 15 minutes of the movie are based on that story because that is the entirety of the Hemingway short story. The rest of the movie is a pretty mediocre Citizen Kane style mystery. But the first 15 minutes, it's some of the best film noir you'll ever see, some of the best dialogue you'll ever hear.
The 60s remake, which I watched recently, was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lee Marvin is horrifying and wonderful.
Clu Gulager is even more horrifying. He's the guy who's a health-obsessed partner.
Yes.
That guy's creepy.
Yeah.
It's a really good pair of weird assassins. Ronald Reagan looking like leathery Mephistopheles. There's that weird double cross that happens.
With Angie Dickinson?
Yeah, where Cassavetes punches Ronald Reagan and throws him out of the car, and then they drive off, and they get to this cabin, and they open the door, and there's Reagan. And it's a double cross. But why do the first double cross in the first place? Just bump off Cassavetes.
And take the money.
You don't have to throw Reagan out of a car. Doesn't make sense. Whether you're a man of bronze or a regular person like the rest of us, you can still go to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. There are all of our episodes there. There's over 300 of them, and you can watch all of them in one spot, and there are PayPal donation buttons that you can click on to make a one-time or rolling monthly donation to help support this show. Your support helps keep this show going, and we appreciate all of our one-time and rolling monthly donors. Doug will be back next week for the unboxing show. We've got some things to open and some things to talk about, and I hope you'll join us then. Won't you join us then? Huh? Won't you? For now, watch this.
Mona, you're a brick.
Matt, you're a brick. You're a cinder block.
Don't touch me. What did I tell you?
This is Doc Savage,